Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms, and I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back here to a very special Sunday stream right here, streaming live across 4 different platforms, 6 different accounts, and we are rocking and rolling as we inch closer and closer to Christmas. 2 weeks away, actually, from today, and I am in the holiday spirit. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but DJ's so delightful. As of course, you already know who I am, Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle, Oh, wow. Do you smell that? Oh, do you smell what I smell? You know what that is right there? Oh, man, that right there is the smell of pure fucking excellence. Wait for it. Wait for it. To mankind. And this is the official rewind for Ring of Honor Final Battle 2022, which of course took place live on Bleacher Report and all pay-per-view platforms yesterday afternoon with the 0 hour starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a lot of great material to talk about. There is absolutely no rest for the weary for me. Easily one of the busiest weeks, and if we're going to be quite honest, probably the busiest couple of months that I've had as a content creator, a wrestling analyst, a YouTuber. It has been ridiculous, but I'm here. We're ready to talk some Ring of Honor, and I got me a first-time ever guest, a loyal DJ Storms Posse member, lifelong wrestling fan, coming to us live from SoCal, California. It is going to be a fun stream because we got, for the first time ever, please help me welcome Mr. HooliGrim. How you doing, brother?
Good to be here, buddy. Thanks for having me. A little clarification. I'm a little more north than I wish I was in California. Unfortunately, I'm in the left armpit of America, known as Portland, Oregon. But
I thought you were in Cali. You told me you were in Cali. What's going on over here?
I said Cali? Why would I say Cali?
You said fucking Cali like X amount of years ago, won't we? This fucking guy's lying to me. This fucking asshole's lying to me.
Great intro, by the way. Shit's my favorite.
Thank you. I pride myself on making sure that people remember me. And hey, if people are going to remember me for one thing, it's going to be the absolutely incomparable, often imitated, never duplicated introduction.
Facts. I'm always disappointed when I join and I've missed out on the intro.
That's why you got to go back. You got to be on time, brother. It's 10 a.m. your time every single Saturday. I understand you want to sleep in, but you got to get up.
Usually I'm up at like 5, 6 a.m. and by the time 10 a.m. comes around on a Sunday, I'm taking a nap.
This guy over here, unprofessional. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, and Ring of Honor Final Battle. Ring of Honor, since it has been acquired by Tony Khan, has been heavily featured on Dynamite, Rampage, sometimes pay-per-views here and there. And I know that people have been very critical of that. Not because the fact that featuring Ring of Honor on AEW, Rampage, or Dynamite, not because that's bad, but because of the fact that it's just too much to consume. It's too much to follow. It gets too cluttered. It's too much to squeeze into a 2-hour show on Wednesday or a 1-hour show on Friday, and it makes things all too confusing to follow. It's not that featuring a Samoa Joe or a Brian Cage for the Ring of Honor World Television title is bad, because I'm sure anyone would pay money to see that fucking match, or a Chris Jericho defending against a Dalton Castle, or whatever it may be, a FTR defending against the Gates of Agony. No one would complain about that from a wrestling standpoint. It's just too much to fit into just such a small amount of television time that AEW has. I've said it numerous times that if WWE and AEW swapped TV times, with the fact that WWE has the depleted roster with 7 hours of TV time, but AEW has the bloated roster with only 3 hours of TV time, both companies would be a hell of a lot better off. But regardless of that, this was an excellent wrestling pay-per-view from top to bottom. Not one dud of a match on the show. And this was probably Tony Khan's best week of professional wrestling in a while. We got an excellent Dynamite on Wednesday. We got a very good Rampage on Friday. Rampage actually felt like Rampage, especially with Moxley and Takeshita. And then you had Trent Seven and Orange Cassidy mixing it up. And Trent Seven, he's great at what he does. I talked about that on the LFU yesterday, if you guys missed that. And Tony Khan, throughout the handful of major mistakes that he's made in the last handful of months, this was definitely a week that he needed. He got a great wrestling week straight across the board. And during a month that is normally looked at as a lull period, Tony Khan says, no, motherfucker. I'm making December a must-see month for what I'm doing. And he did that with Dynamite. He did that with Rampage. He did it with Ring of Honor. And we got Winter is Coming, the Holiday Bash. We got the New Year's Smash. And then we got Beach Break and the Forum Show next year. He's really amping it up. And this is exactly what I want to see out of him. Coming out of full gear, he's come out of the box all guns blazing. And this was no different. This was an excellent wrestling show from top to bottom. But HooliGrim, I want to throw it over to you. What were your thoughts on the overall show?
Tony Khan, I feel, definitely got some redemption this week for all the hits he's been taking in the IWC and on social media and whatever regarding everything that's been going on recently with AEW and the brand. And it's been pretty chaotic, but for really not a whole lot of build except for what I've seen on Twitter in the last week, that show was a banger. I mean, I was not expecting really. I tuned in to watch the Briscoes and FTR because I will always watch the Briscoes. They're my favorite tag team ever. And I was actually pretty mind blown by all the other matches on the card. And I was very surprised at all the titles that changed hands as well. It was a great show.
I was actually not surprised with certain titles that changed hands. We'll talk about that as well. The main event outcome was definitely surprising, but we'll talk about that later on in the show. But yeah, for a show that had pretty much a very non-existent build, the entire show, it felt high energy, it felt lively, it flowed very, very nicely. And every single individual on the show, they brought their fucking A game. They really brought their fucking A game. And that is exactly what I want to see. And we were actually talking about this before the show ended. I think we were talking about this after the Briscoes and FTR match before Samoa Joe and Juice Robinson started. We talked about that Ring of Honor. We don't know what it is, but Ring of Honor, it has that NXT black and gold feeling. The crowd is just lively. Each superstar tries to outdo the last match. They're always looking to one-up each other from the last match and the last match. And they're always looking to make moments as well. And that's exactly the vibe that we felt from Ring of Honor Final Battle. And in the end, I do believe that whether people want to admit it or not, Ring of Honor will inevitably be AEW's version of NXT, where we see the younger generation of talent. Obviously, we will have some veterans in there, like of the Briscoes, like a Samoa Joe, probably a Jay Lethal in there, Claudio. But in the end, we're going to see a lot of young, fresh talent like 2.0 in there, and Willow Nightingale, and Top Flight as well, if they want to put them down there. We're going to see people like a Juice Robinson. We're going to see people like a Daniel Garcia and a Wheeler Yuta. We're going to see people like the younger generation, like a Toa Leona and a Gates of Agony, stars that haven't really been established yet. We're going to feel the development of them from day one all the way up until they're ready to move up to AEW Dynamite. And that's going to be a great thing to see going forward.
Yes. Ring of Honor is, I don't know what it is about that promotion, but I'm watching all the matches yesterday going like, God, these guys and girls are like, they're seriously like hitting the shit out of each other. And then when you watch like the weekly WWE and AEW shows and even their pay-per-views, like to your point about each match wanting to not necessarily show up the match before it, but everybody's really going out there, putting their body on the line to make a name for themselves. And you can see that, you can almost feel it in every match. And when the crowd is lively and stuff, I mean, you put all that together and it makes for an epic show. There doesn't need to be 80,000 people in the stands. There doesn't need to be, a lot of theatrics. Just go out and do what you do for a living and do it to the best of your ability. And, even with names like Claudio, who's been a superstar, Jericho, who's a superstar, Samoa Joe, I was very, very pleasantly surprised with, like I said, every match from top to bottom.
And we'll be going over them one by one. But first things first, thank you all for joining. I greatly appreciate every single one of you. You guys have been fantastic this entire week going into the weekend, and we're not done yet. After today, we got one more major stream, and that is tomorrow at 2 p.m. It is the rewind for NXT Deadline 2022. I watched that immediately after I watched Ring of Honor Final Battle, and NXT Deadline, it was not as good as Ring of Honor Final Battle, but what we got was a very, very good show, a very, very solid show. Everyone worked their asses off in that show. They did great, especially the Iron Survivor challenges. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow, so I hope to see all of you in the chat. Thank you to Dee, Adam Carl. Thank you to Peanuts and the Final Hoss. People, first things first, I want to throw it back to HooliGrim. HooliGrim, let me ask you, where can we find you on social media?
On Twitter at HooliGrim, spelled WHO, like who are you? Because people seem to not know how to pronounce it right away. So it's at who_LA_Grim.
So go check him out on Twitter. He's awesome. One of the loyal ones that I have on Twitter. And he will definitely be back later on in the year 2023. That's for sure. That link is in the description. Please, if you haven't already done so, follow me on social media at HistoryMakerDJS. That is at HistoryMakerDJS. Both on Twitter and Instagram. You can add me on Facebook as well. For collaborations and business inquiries, please send me an email. My email is stormstakeover@gmail.com, like the official DJ Storms business page. And I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook, that is. All those links are in the description. Please, if you haven't already done so, people, hit the like button. Hit that like button when you come on in, whether you're watching on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or the Facebook page. It is vital. And share the stream out on all platforms, social media. I'm talking about Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, Snapchat, TikTok. What else? Tumblr. All this other shit. I felt like Excalibur at the end of a rampage. But please make sure that you're sharing it out on all platforms, social media. Get as many people in here as possible. And, of course, do not forget to check out Hardcore Sports, baby, because Hardcore Sports, we are going to be the #1 analytical brand for all sports. I'm talking about football, baseball, basketball, hockey, UFC, WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor. It is going to be must-see. We are over 200 subs. We want to get to 300, 400, 500, 600, all the way to 1K so we can get that money. So please, make sure you check out all the Hardcore Sports links down below. Of course, hit the subscribe button. Got to make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that way we can grow, Hardcore Sports can grow, and I can grow. And, of course, you got to hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. You know why? Because then you're going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, baby, it is the best time to be on YouTube. Because it's the only time that you won't get to see this, this glorious sideburn chin strap combination and this beautiful mustache right here. Earl Cole's not here. Earl Cole's not here, but we're going to do his intro, his favorite part of the intro anyway, this magical black comb right here, and we are going to light it up right here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, with a little and a dash of and a whole lot of Stop mocking my intro, HooliGrim. Anyway, because just like Campbell's chicken noodle possibilities, just like a nice steaming plate of baked ziti with nice Parmesan sprinkled on top, just like, just like, you know, a little fettuccine Alfredo. Got to have some fettuccine Alfredo in there because that's a great type of pasta too. I'm just so good. Everybody wants piece of Stormsmeister. You already know the drill. Anyway, we're going to get right into the matches here. Let's start with the 0 hour. Not too crazy of a 0 hour, but we did get some decent material on the 0 hour, that's for sure. I don't really know why they loaded up with 4 matches. I would have just done 3 matches instead of 4. But we still got a pretty decent 0 hour, and it was a very nice lead-in to the show. We started off the 0 hour with Mascara Dorada versus Jeff Cobb, and this went about 7 minutes, and it was a fun little match for what it was. Really nothing overly crazy, but it was a nice little showcase for these two individuals. Cobb was caught with a lucha-style arm drag. Cobb then came back with a deadlift gourd buster on the apron to Dorada. Cobb then wore down Dorada. Dorada came back with a Hurricane Rana. Dorada then with a corkscrew tornillo over the top onto Cobb. A springboard senton in the ring for a 2, and he stuck that fucking senton. Cobb then with a sidewinder suplex for a 2, and then a standing moonsault. Yes, Jeff Cobb, a man of his size, does a beautiful standing moonsault. Almost reminds me a little bit of Braun Breaker. Dorada was then caught with a nasty right hand. We had a deadlift by Jeff Cobb, but Dorada got out of it. We had a bulldog off the middle rope, a little bit of a reverse sling blade style bulldog off the middle rope by Dorada. That got a 2 count. Dorada then with a stiff lariat, but Cobb did not go down. So Dorada tried for something big, but Jeff Cobb popped him up, caught him flush, and then delivered the Tour of the Islands, which looks beautiful. I love that move by Jeff Cobb. And Jeff Cobb wins it 1, 2, 3. Jeff Cobb gets a nice win for himself. I want to see more of Jeff Cobb in Ring of Honor. I think that's a great place for him. And if New Japan and Ring of Honor are going to have a working relationship, that is a great thing to have all of these New Japan stars come over from Ring of Honor. I'd love to see a Will Ospreay in there, mix it up with a Claudio, or Wheeler Yuta, Samoa Joe. I'd love to see that. And Mascara Dorada, Grand Metalik from WWE. Let me tell you something. He has always been great, but WWE never really gave him the platform to show him to show how good he really is, except when Triple H took over 205 Live. I don't know about you, and I know TK can't sign everyone, but I would love to see Mascara Dorada in Ring of Honor full time. He would be a great hand mixing it up with a Yuta, a Garcia, a Lethal, a Lee Moriarty, people like that. If you want to have him go in there against a
Roosh.
Claudio or a Joe, I think Mascara Dorado would be a great hand in Ring of Honor. So I don't know about you, but I'd love to see more of both of these men. And it was a fun little match, really nothing overly crazy. But I'm going to hand it over to you. Let me hear your thoughts.
So real quick, during the pre-show, I was having major technical difficulties trying to get the stream up and running without buffering and stuff. So I missed pretty much most of the entire pre-show. I didn't even know that like Jeff Cobb or Grand Metalik or anybody was even on the show. So I didn't see any of the matches. But to your point, reading that tweet about Honor Club and how there's going to be a working relationship between Ring of Honor and New Japan just got me really excited for the possibility standpoint of talent that we don't see all the time, that we're not going to see all the time, that'll show up and they'll kind of cross promote and have feuds and just kind of keep it fresh and mix it up. Sounds like, you know, wrestling's needed that for a long time, I feel like. And Jeff Cobb, I mean, you know, hardcore wrestling fans that know Lucha Underground, man, he was awesome as Matanza. He's great in the ring for a guy his size. He's so nimble and agile. He was one of my favorites in Lucha Underground, so I'm not surprised. He's incapable of having a bad match. And Grand Metalik, like many moons ago, when Triple H decided to do that first Cruiserweight Classic tournament, Grand Metalik was actually, he was in my top 2 or 3 of like people I wanted to see win the tournament. He blew my mind with, he blew my mind with how he can dance on the ropes. He's very much like Ray Phoenix in terms of how he can just, it's like he's just tap dancing all over the ropes and he doesn't need to use his hands.
That match? Can you imagine that fucking match?
Oh man. You're right. And yeah, a Ray Phoenix versus a Metalik match. Yeah, sign me up, please.
But it was a nice little decent way to begin the pre-show. And then from there, we got the Shinobi Shadow Squad. This is Cheeseburger and Eli Isom. Cheeseburger was actually very over in this match. They took on Cool Hand, Angelo Parker, and Daddy Magic, Matt Menard. And this really wasn't anything of note. This was just a 5-minute tag team match that was thrown on the show just to get 2.0 a win because, you know, they have heavy investment in 2.0. And 2.0 are great at what they do. But if you're asking me what was better, the match here or the match at Grand Slam Rampage with Action Bronson and Hook, I'm going to go with the one with Action Bronson and Hook. That had a little bit more intensity to it. That had a little bit more energy to it. And it was given the proper amount of time to actually deliver a decent little match. This was kind of just there. 2.0 mainly dominated this match. Backbreaker knee combination. They isolated Cheeseburger. Leaping elbow off of Menard's back by Parker. Eli Isom ran wild for a little bit. But in the end, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker delivered a double execution, a double impaler DDT, and they got the win 1, 2, 3. I would love to see more of 2.0 in Ring of Honor. I think that they're very good at cutting promos and they're very good at getting nice amounts of heat, and they could be really solid, annoying heels. Like they have that vibe about them in which when you see them, you just want to punch them in the face. And that is great when it comes to heels. So I want to see more of 2.0 in Ring of Honor. I want to see them with a little bit more higher up tag teams, like maybe a Top Flight or maybe an FTR, you know, people like that, because I think that they got something in them that just hasn't been unleashed yet. But 2.0, easy win over the Shinobi Shadow Squad. And that was pretty much it. It was just a match to get 2.0 sometime. But would you care to comment on this?
Were they 2.0? Was their name? Do they have a name actually in AEW, or are they just part of the JAS?
It's the JAS, but their tag team name is 2.0.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking they were called 2.0 and when they were in NXT, but
no, they were called Ever Rise in NXT.
That's right.
They were called 3.0 before they got to NXT, and then after NXT, now they're calling themselves 2.0.
Okay, got you. Matt Menard, I don't know what it is about him, but when he talks, if you close your eyes, I swear I see Brian Knobbs from the Nasty Boys. I swear.
I'm going to need to research him. I haven't heard him in a long time, so I forget what he sounds like. Shit.
Yeah, I forget. I'm quite a bit older than you, but growing up in the WWF era in the late 80s, early 90s, yeah, his voice and his delivery, I wouldn't be shocked if you asked him like who some of his favorite of all time tag teams were. I'm almost positive he's going to say the Nasty Boys. He sounds like spot on. I swear, if you close your eyes, he sounds just like the guy. It's crazy, but he's so good. And not many guys like, I don't know. Some people might think that he's yelling into the mic or whatever, but those are the kind of promos I grew up on, where guys' veins are just bulging out of their face when they're cutting promos, right? So to me, that's
his eyes aren't the only thing that's bulging. His nipples are hard.
Daddy Magic.
He's Daddy Magic. You want to know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard?
It's great.
Guy.
It really is.
I want to see more of him I want to see more of him and Angelo Parker, because again, I think they got something that hasn't been unleashed yet. I think there's something there that's just waiting to break out.
They're a perfect fit for Ring of Honor, to be honest.
So from there, we go into our first taste of women's action for the night. And similar to the last match, this really wasn't anything of note. This was a match to make sure that Willow Nightingale is made into a star. That's pretty much it. Willow Nightingale's the star here, and she has gotten a really, really, really nice, solid amount of wins underneath herself. She's gotten a nice, solid amount of showcase on Dynamite and Rampage. She's really taken to the crowd, and you can sense that they got one of their biggest homegrown baby faces of AEW / Ring of Honor on their hand. When she's done with Ring of Honor, she's going to be a real big-time, solid baby face on AEW TV. Trish Adora didn't look bad here, so she showed a little something. A nice Northern Lights suplex for a 2. Willow then with a nice cartwheel. Enziguri by Willow. Nice chops and a drop kick off the middle rope for a 2. Adora with a modified stretch. We had a bridging German for a 2. Willow with a big pounce. Love the pounce by Willow. The straps came down, and Willow delivered this Dr. Bomb high on the shoulders, folded her up. When that Dr. Bomb is sold correctly, it looks fucking brutal. I love that move by Willow. Nice Dr. Bomb, and Willow gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Whoever holds the Ring of Honor Women's World Title, which we all know who that is now, going into the TV deal and going into Supercard of Honor, I can honestly see Willow Nightingale inevitably getting the championship at some point within the next year. If she is not going to be on AEW TV consistently, although I would give her a women's title match against Jamie Hayter, because I actually want to see those two fight, and I think that would be a great interim program for Jamie Hayter. Outside of that, I can absolutely see Willow Nightingale being the next Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. She just has that aura about her in which she is going to be the top tier women in Ring of Honor until she's ready to move up. That's what I'm getting from Willow. They're their next top tier. She's the next top tier women's babyface over there. But let me hand it over to you. What you got?
She's very good, and like you said, a match with her and Jamie Hayter would be great. A match with her and Athena would be, I think, freaking awesome. It makes me wonder if Tony Khan is going to somehow work a deal with one of the Japanese female promotions, like a Stardom or something, because I'm just trying to think about like all the women in AEW, and then like how many women there are going to be also in Ring of Honor, and it seems like they might have to take from AEW to kind of, I don't know if Willow will bounce back and forth between shows or how that's all gonna play out. But Willow could also be staying AEW with all the help they need in their women's division, as they continue to build her.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think they got something in the AEW women's division. But with Ring of Honor, I can definitely see more of the lower tier women going to Ring of Honor. Maybe a Ty Mello, maybe an Anna Jay, a Willow Nightingale, and then obviously you'll have some veterans like a Mercedes Martinez, like a Athena, maybe a Serena Deeb, depending on what they want to do with her. Although I'd keep her on AEW TV. It very much depends. Obviously, they'll probably see a Trisha Dora down there. It all depends on what they want to do. It all depends on what they want to do. But I absolutely believe that Willow Nightingale is going to be the face of Ring of Honor at some point next year, and then probably in 2024, I think we'll start seeing more of her on Dynamite, and she'll receive a prominent role as a women's champion on Dynamite.
I agree with that.
Then we got the best match of the pre-show. This was a great tag team match. It was the Kingdom. This is Mike Bennett and Matt Taven versus Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin. And Top Flight has always been great. When Top Flight, when they're both healthy, when they're on time, when they're on the grind, when they are together and they are operating at 100%, they are absolutely fucking on. They're the second coming of the Young Bucks. They're the absolute second coming of the Young Bucks. The Kingdom, let me tell you something. You may not be too familiar with the Kingdom. A lot of people might not be too familiar with the Kingdom. A lot of people might not see too much in the Kingdom when they look at them, and they look at Mike Bennett and he looks generic, and then they look at Matt Taven and he looks like a nerd wearing the gloves and this weird hairstyle that he's got. But dude, they're a very good tag team. They are a very, very good tag team. And they actually, I didn't really see much in them at all. I knew who they were, but I was not too keen on them. And then after this match, I'm like, all right, I'm starting to see it. I see what people are talking about, especially Matt Taven. Matt Taven really impressed the shit out of me in this match. This was a great tag team match from start to finish. We had Darius Martin getting hit with some stiff strikes by Taven. Taven's another guy, just like 2.0. Taven's got a punchable face. You could just tell. Taven's got this grin, this smirk on his face where you're just like, can someone just kick that smirk off his face? I like that. I like the way that Taven carries himself. So Taven accidentally hit Bennett. Top Flight with some swift tag team action. Double drop kick on Taven for a 2. Taven with a springboard triangle enziguri to Dante. Bennett with a rebound stunner. Tag to Darius. Cross body on Taven. Enziguri on Bennett. Taven delivered the purple Thunder Bomb. Not the blue Thunder Bomb. The purple Thunder Bomb that he calls it because he was wearing purple tights. Bennett then took over with a nice suplex. Bennett then with a spine buster. Taven with a very nice looking lion salt. That got a 2. We had an elbow drop into a drop kick, double knee backbreaker combo by the Kingdom, but Top Flight stayed alive. Darius fought back, slap after slap after slap. Beautiful Spanish fly on Mike Bennett. Tag to Dante, tag to Taven. Dante with some stiff forearms, a standing moonsault, super kick, flatliner combination by Top Flight for a 2. Assisted tornado DDT on Taven. Bennett then shoved Dante into Darius to break up the count. The Kingdom then with a Death Valley Driver PK combination, suicide dive on Bennett. Then we had Matt Taven diving over the top rope like the fucking Undertaker. Dante then went for the dive. He slipped. He slipped a little bit, but he got just enough to take out the Kingdom. Then all of a sudden, Maria, Mike Bennett's wife, she got ejected from ringside. Taven was taken out, and this right here was beautiful. This right here was beautiful. We had a power bomb doomsday device by Top Flight, but it was a moonsault, the double jump moonsault by Dante Martin. So picture Mike Bennett being held in a power bomb by Darius, and picture, instead of a clothesline, Dante Martin does a moonsault, and the moonsault hits Mike Bennett while Darius brings him down in a powerbomb. It looked great.
Wow.
And Top Flight gets the win, 1, 2, 3. Easily the best thing on the pre-show. A great tag team match. And the Kingdom, they really fucking showed up to work. Top Flight, I'd love to see Top Flight in Ring of Honor. And more of the Kingdom, too. What I'm telling you, the Ring of Honor tag team division, it's pretty fucking solid.
Is it ever?
Yeah, you got FTR in there. You got the Briscoes. The Guns are going to be in there because obviously they're not really getting too much time on AEW TV. So now they're in Ring of Honor. You got them. You got the Kingdom. You got Top Flight. You got 2.0. You got the Shinobi Shadow Squad. The Gates of Agony are in there. The Bull, Dalton Castle. You got a nice Dralistico and Roosh. You got a nice solid Ring of Honor tag team division. I want to see more of that shit.
That could honestly be their niche, like, because that separates them from the other companies, especially AEW, since Tony Khan runs both promotions. Have it be focused, and this is just coming from, I love tag team wrestling. It's my favorite out of all the genres. So I would spot, like, show kind of how WCW did Nitro with the cruiserweights back in the day. Showcase your tag team division. I don't know. I'd honestly put, like, even tag team championship matches as main events for shows in Ring of Honor, because their tag team division is, my God, those matches they put on are insane.
We got that at Death Before Dishonor. We got that at Death Before Dishonor last July. It was
right.
Goes in that 2 out of 3 Falls. So Tony Khan's been listening to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, solid tag teams. The Kingdom. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know nothing. I've heard Matt Taven's name around. I've never seen his matches that I can remember. And then Mike Bennett, like, I was happy for him that he's employed, given, you know, his path and what he's had to go through in life. But honestly, the way that Vince McMahon cupped him in WWE when they made him Mike Kanellis, I had no interest. Not that I wasn't interested in the Kingdom, but it's Mike Bennett. And when he was in TNA all those years ago, he was really good. And I was excited when he joined NXT. And then I don't know what happened with all that.
He was put on 205 Live, and he was actually putting on some great matches on 205 Live with Tozawa, and Tony Nese was in there as well. And
he's really good. But the way they booked him into oblivion in that company, you know, all these years later, it's like, oh, Mike Bennett's, you know, now in AEW / Ring of Honor. And it was like, oh, cool, glad he has a job. But like you said, some people think he's maybe kind of boring or whatever. For me, it was the way he was booked in WWE that totally just kind of killed his aura. So when you bring up the name Mike Bennett, it's just like, oh, yeah, you know, just a guy. Oh, that guy I remember.
You got to go back and watch this match.
Well, the way you described that move, I love when I see a match and somebody pulls off some crazy move that I've never seen before, because I've been watching wrestling a long time. And at this point, I'm like, I've seen every kind of move you could possibly do. There's nothing the human body could bend or twist or do that I haven't seen. And then you describe that move, and I'm like, damn, I wish I would have seen that match. I've never seen a power bomb into a
match at any time.
I'm gonna for sure.
So that was a very, very good tag team match to end the pre-show. Very solid stuff by both teams. And then we go into the main show. Main show started off with Roosh and his other brother, Dralistico. I don't know how many fucking brothers this guy has. It's Dralistico. It's Dragon Lee. My God, it's like his parents are fucking popping out great luchador wrestlers left and right.
Well, it's like if you've ever been to Hawaii. I lived there for a short time. Literally, if you talk to anybody and you mention that you're a wrestling fan, everybody over there is a cousin of The Rock. Literally, they all claim they're The Rock's cousin.
Jesus Christ. How many fucking, you know, I had a teacher in high school. His name was Mr. Lopez. You know how many kids he had?
How many?
He had 10 kids.
Yeah, that's
He had 10 fucking, I don't know what's going on, but I mean, like, holy shit.
Did you say he was a teacher in high school?
Teacher in high school.
Oh, he's not making enough money to feed 10 kids. I'll tell you that.
Teacher in high school.
That's crazy.
It was 8 years ago. Somewhere around that time. 8 years. No, not 8 years ago. Well, actually, yeah, 8 years ago. 6 to 8 years ago. The guy had 10 fucking kids. And I'm trying to think to myself, God, how the fuck is this guy? I mean, let me tell you something. Look, if I see his wife, and if his wife is hot, then I would understand why. If his wife is hot, then all right. I can kind of understand you, but 10 fucking kids? Holy shit. His wife,
yeah.
His wife better look like Jennifer Aniston.
Something. Because I have a son, and My sister's getting ready to have her third child, and I don't know.
Three is a decent number. 3 is a fine number.
For myself personally, and my non-existent patience level, any more than one, and I would have lost my mind.
Well, I'll tell you who did lose his mind. Roosh fucking lost his mind after this match. But the match itself went about 11 minutes. It was very good. The match was very good for what it was. I just don't know what the fuck happened with this ending. I don't know if it was Dralistico. I don't know if it was the ref. I think it may have been the ref. I'm not sure. But this was probably one of the very few the amount of negatives on the show I can count on one hand. But this was one of those very, very few negatives. It wasn't a negative to ruin the show, that's for sure. But the match itself, up until the ending, was very good. So Blake Christian and Dralistico. There's a chick that I talked to at work. Her name is fucking Jalitza. She lives down in Florida. I work at a fucking accounting firm, and I got to make all these fucking calls. I'm mixing up names. Dralistico and Blake Christian, they had a very nice back and forth. AR Fox, he was Blake Christian's partner. He came in, and Roosh and him, they just chopped the shit out of each other, one after the other. Love that shit. Roosh, I love when Roosh does this. He just started ragdolling Blake Christian, barricade into barricade into barricade. Dralistico then powerbombed AR Fox onto the steps, which looked brutal. Christian was then isolated. AR Fox then came in with a nice sling blade. Roosh then came in with a missile drop kick. Fox then with a huge dive over the top rope onto Roosh, and then another one onto Dralistico. Tope Con Hero on Roosh. Swanton Bomb on Dralistico. 4-2 count by Fox. Roosh then took out Fox and Christian. Dralistico with a springboard shooting star press onto the pile. Christian then with a 450 on Dralistico to break up the cover. Fox then with a springboard Spanish fly. Canadian Destroyer DDT, which looked great. Suicide dive by Blake Christian on Roosh. 450 by Fox. Not sure what happened here, but Dralistico looked like he kicked out. And then the ref counted 3 anyway. Dralistico was trying to plead his case. Roosh then decided to take matters into his own hands, and he just started going hog wild on everyone, steel chair shots to the head, and they walked away pissed. I don't know what happened here, but I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that the ref botched on that one. Now, that was the only botch of the night, which was fine, but I don't know what the fuck happened there. It was kind of The match was very good, and it was a solid way to start off the show. All 4 of them worked their asses off, but I mean, it's disappointing because that ending is just going to stick out like a sore thumb. I don't know about you, but let me hear your thoughts.
Roosh, and I'm assuming Dralistico. Roosh is from AAA, right?
Yes.
It's just got me thinking.
He's from the old Ring of Honor.
Oh, is he? Okay. I was just thinking about other cross-promotional opportunities for Tony Khan with AAA also. When this Ring of Honor deal gets set up and moving and they start cross-promoting, I think we're going to get an onslaught of dream matches that we probably haven't even thought of the possibilities of yet. So I'm really excited about that. Unfortunately, I didn't even realize this match happened either because I thought that this was still the pre-show and I was still trying to get my stuff set up. I don't know what was going on yesterday, but I think I got everything working finally on the match after this, so I didn't get to see this match. But Roosh is very good. I mean, all the guys from AAA are so talented, and the style that it's almost like I call it kind of like Mexican strong style.
Yes. Yes.
They've really transformed like Lucha Libre and just kind of made it their own. So yeah, unfortunately I didn't get to see this match, so I can't really comment on it, but
if you want to go rewatch this match, you definitely can. You will definitely won't be disappointed, minus the ending, but I want to see more of Roosh and Dralistico. If not, I want to see more Roosh on AEW TV, and I want to see Roosh fighting Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic Championship. I think that if it's not going to be Malachi Black, then Roosh would be the perfect candidate to take that title off of Orange Cassidy. That's for sure. Women's action.
Here we go.
Women's action. Athena, who is my favorite women's wrestler of the modern era right now.
Mm-hmm.
She's been my favorite women's wrestler ever since that match with Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn 3.
Mm-hmm.
She took on Mercedes Martinez for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship.
The OG.
This was a great fucking match. This embodied a level of physicality that all women's wrestling matches, and I will emphasize this shit, all women's wrestling matches should look at this match and they should study this match and implement the physicality that they saw in this match into what they do going forward in their matches. The physicality
Not to interrupt you.
in this match, I'm telling you, dude, they were fucking hitting hard.
Not to interrupt you, just real quick, I'd go even further as to say just wrestlers, men or women in general. That was one of the hardest hitting women's matches I think I've seen in a long time, if ever. And I kept going. The thought
hitting all year.
The thought that kept going on in my head was, I mean, the strikes that Athena was landing, and Mercedes Martinez has always been a stiff hitter. But it was just like, wow. I mean,
I thought she knocked Athena out with one shot.
Sometimes you can really tell you're watching a women's wrestling match. You know what I mean? There's just something about the way the women move, and I don't know if they feel awkward or whatever, but a lot of times it doesn't run smooth. Those girls, you could tell, have been putting in work for a very long time, and they went out there and really put their bodies on the line and made it a super believable. And I mean, at the end of the match, I was just like, wow, I didn't even know, like, I didn't see any build for this match or anything. I saw what was going on with Athena, like, on social media and her matches on Dark, and how once they started complaining about how, oh, she's getting a bad rap for being too stiff in the ring, I thought to myself, oh, is this the beginning of like a gimmick kind of change for Athena, or is this like, you know, like real news? And it all made sense after the match last night. It was like, oh, okay, this was the direction they were heading in with her, sending her over to the Ring of Honor. And if you're going to be in the ring with Mercedes Martinez, you're going to want to hit back as hard as you can, because she's not going to go easy on you at all. So
no,
that was an incredible match. Athena's so good, and I'm so glad that she's kind of getting her mojo back, because she was very impressive in NXT. I didn't know much about her before NXT Black and Gold, and yeah, I mean, if you're in the wrestling game and you're looking for talent, how can you not want her on your roster? She's so good.
You could not pay me all the money in the world to take a shot from either of these women after that match. You could not pay me all the money in the world. No, thank you. I will keep all of my teeth perfectly in my mouth. Thank you very much. But man, I think I may rewatch this match again. I fucking love what they did. So
it was great. Did you? Was there any build for this match?
There was actually, but very, very minor. Very, very minor, mainly because of the fact that, again, there's only 3 hours of AEW TV time, so it's tough to find time. It's tough to
put on a match like that too, without the weeks leading up to, you know, the in-ring interactions. I'm trying to remember the last time I remember seeing Mercedes Martinez on TV on a Dynamite or a Dark or Rampage or something. I don't usually watch Rampage or Dark, so it's been, I don't know, it's been a little bit, but yeah, for me not having seen any build, I
don't watch Dark. Rampage is usually fine. Dark just becomes a squash fest, but Rampage actually has a little bit more meaning to them. And plus, this past show for Rampage was great. So I was very much looking forward to the two main matches on the show, and they absolutely delivered. You know, they got some nice little showcases on Rampage every now and then. It just depends, but I hope that Tony Khan is really starting to amp up Rampage like he initially did in the beginning. But no, that's a separate conversation. But
when they do the Match of the Year awards, DJ, I don't know how it goes. Like, I would throw that in there for if they do a women's Match of the Year. That match is going. I would vote that match, or just put it in contention for Match of the Year. It was that level to me.
Yeah, I would probably. I usually do a top 10, and it's everything, whether it be WWE, AEW, men and women, and tag team too. But let's go over what happened in this match. So Mercedes, she went right on the attack. Athena fired back and forth strikes, big forearm by Athena, stiff knee by Athena. I love this shit by Athena. She did a handspring backflip, and then instead of usually doing a body avalanche attack, she did a fucking backhand slap. And you know what? What's the vibe I got from that? The vibe I got from that was, yeah, I know I'm good, and now I'm just gonna rub that shit in her face with a backhand slap. That's what I got from that. I love that shit. Little extra, spike on that. Little extra salt in the wound.
Mm-hmm.
So Martinez came in with a spine buster. That got a 2. Athena got up to the top. So did Martinez. We had a spider suplex attempt, but Athena tried to hold on. Martinez tried to hold on, but she got caught with a power bomb and then a gourd buster by Athena. Super kick on the money. That got a 2. Big forearm by Martinez. Half and half suplex. Exploder suplex. Sheer drop brain buster. And Athena kicked out. We then had an inverted cloverleaf, Rhea Ripley style. Athena got out. Both women were on the apron. We had a back suplex by Athena on the apron, which looked brutal. Martinez was then sent into the barricade. The drop kick missed, though. Then we had a swinging neck breaker off the barricade to the floor. Excellent stuff. Athena then got back in the ring. Martinez with a lariat, short arm clotheslines. She went for the Brass City Sleeper, but Athena bit Mercedes Martinez in the arm to break it. Athena then with a lifting code breaker, but Martinez grabbed the ropes. Athena then tore the turnbuckle pad off in frustration, and the referee was trying to separate the two women. Athena took advantage, shotgun drop kick Mercedes Martinez into the exposed buckle, neck first. Athena then went up to the top. The O-face connects. It looks beautiful every time. 1, 2, 3. Athena is the new Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. Great match and absolutely the right outcome. Absolutely the right outcome. Listen, Mercedes is great. Mercedes is great, but I mean this in no disrespectful way. She's not an in-ring leader. Mercedes is not a division leader. Mercedes is a great hand. She's a great wrestler. She's very good on the mic, and she brings a sense of legitimacy to Ring of Honor and the women's division, but she's not a division leader. Athena is a division leader. Athena is the woman that you look at, and she's the woman that's going to be having banger matches every single night, no matter who she's in the ring with, what town she's in, what match she's in. She's going to give you a match worthy of being called a women's championship match. And that's exactly what we got. The right outcome. Mercedes is great. She's just not a division leader. And Athena winning this, absolutely the right outcome. She should have won the TBS championship, but I will take the Ring of Honor Women's Championship over nothing any day of the week. So let me hear you. Any final thoughts before we move on?
I'm not saying I've never seen a woman do a brainbuster in a match before, but that brainbuster that Mercedes Martinez gave Athena, if I ever see one in the future, I'm always going to remember that brainbuster from this match. It was crazy. Like I said, I mean, those two women are so good. They make it so believable. They hit each other every bit as hard as the men. Their match flowed. Like I watching women's matches in the other promotions. I don't know if they hesitate. I don't know what it is, but that was one of the smoothest, most believable women's matches I've seen in a long time. Probably since any of the women's matches we had back in the black and gold days when like Asuka and Athena was Ember Moon and stuff like that. It was great. It was really great. Hats off to those women. And you're right. I agree with the outcome as well, that Athena got the title. So good for her.
And another thing, Tony Khan, he's been making some questionable decisions as of lately and a lot of questionable outcomes. But this show, I can't really argue and say every match pretty much had the right outcome. I can't argue with that. Shane Taylor Promotions and Swerve in Our Glory. I wasn't too familiar with Shane Taylor Promotions, but after seeing what we got tonight, we got a very good tag team match, And I would love to see Shane Taylor Promotions as a solid tag team in Ring of Honor going forward. I'd love to see Shane Taylor and JD Griffey as a tag team moving forward because they did very well for themselves here. And Swerve in Our Glory, just another layer added on top of the story. And we will talk about that when we get to the end. But we got a very good tag team match. So JD Griffey, he tried to implement some MMA kicks against Keith Lee. Taylor then tagged in. We were going to get the face-off, but Swerve tagged himself in like the prick that he is. We had a head scissor takedown by Swerve, elbow to the back, fake out lariat by Shane Taylor. I do not want to get hit by any of Shane Taylor's strikes. Shane Taylor is a fucking guy. If he's walking towards me, I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can to the guy because I do not want to get clotheslined by that motherfucker. Holy shit. So we had a leg drop on the apron by Shane Taylor. Again, you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to take that shit. The Undertaker doing a leg drop is bad enough, but Shane Taylor? No thank you.
That was brutal.
So Swerve was worn down before Lee tagged in. He traded blows with Taylor. Taylor, this was nuts. Taylor did a diving crossbody. Lee caught him and held him. And Shane Taylor's bigger than Keith Lee. And Keith Lee held him like he was a fucking newborn baby. He fucking held him. So Griffey came in. Swerve took out Taylor, tagged to Swerve. Griffey got Swerve, and Swerve accidentally hit Keith Lee. Swerve accidentally kicked Lee. We had a suicide dive. Lee caught him. Swerve then kicked Griffey in the back of the head. Taylor then caught Swerve with an elevated stunner off the ropes for a 2. Griffey then with some straight jabs. Swerve with a backbreaker. Griffey with a fisherman knee buster for a 2. Taylor took Lee off the apron, and then Lee took the fight to Taylor on the outside. Lee went up to the top, delivered a moonsault. Beautiful, picture-perfect moonsault on Griffey. Unreal. Tag to Lee, tag to Taylor. We got the face-off. Chops, kicks, forearms, slaps. Lee then accidentally hit Swerve. Lee was distraught. Taylor then hit Welcome to the Land, which is a running Samoan driver, a running version of Dante's Inferno. Lee kicked out. All of a sudden, Swerve then walked away from Keith Lee, walked up the ramp, and flipped off the crowd as he left. Griffey then accidentally kicked Taylor. Taylor was taken out, and Keith Lee ended up hitting ground zero for the 1, 2, 3. Here is what I love about this. The match was very good, but the main aspect of this was the ending. At Full Gear 3 weeks ago, Keith Lee and Swerve, they had a little bit of a scuffle. And Swerve, listen to this, Swerve intentionally hit Keith Lee. He intentionally slapped the shit out of Keith Lee in that match with the Acclaimed. And Keith Lee walked out on Swerve, and Swerve lost. Here, Keith Lee accidentally hit Swerve. Not on purpose. He did it on accident. Swerve walked away from Keith Lee, but Keith Lee won. That right there, that little aspect, that detail right there is going to be yet another layer that goes forth into this upcoming feud with Lee and Swerve. And a match at Revolution I can see happening. It's going to be great. I cannot wait for it. Loved that little story told right there. And over the course of the last 3 weeks, you could just sense that the tension is building. That ending was great. Probably one of the best told stories of the entire night. Excellent stuff. HooliGrim, what say you?
A fun little fact, when Jericho left WWE and Cody got with the Young Bucks, and Meltzer had done the whole bet that they couldn't fill a stadium with 10,000 people, and this whole AEW thing got started on the local cable access show channel here in my town. On Saturday, shows like old Ring of Honor stuff. So I had just happened to be around that time period. The TV was on. I think my son was over. We were getting ready to eat dinner. I turned on the TV, and it just happens to be on this channel, and it's Ring of Honor. And I'm like, no way. So we're sitting there watching, and that was my introduction to Shane Taylor. Although I don't remember him being as big of a dude a couple years ago as he is now. He probably was, but it was old. I mean, you know, it's not in 4K. It's just old Ring of Honor stuff from years ago. So I was kind of excited to see him yesterday. I don't know nothing. I don't really know anything about JD Griffey. Going forward, of just one little nitpicky thing about him, I would just give him some ring gear, because to me, when I was watching him yesterday, I thought he was in his underwear fighting the whole match, so it just kind of looked, I don't know, awkward, but that's just my opinion. However, the Keith Lee and the Swerve storyline, when they come out for their intros and Swerve doesn't even wait for Keith Lee to walk with him, he just starts walking ahead of him, like, you knew something was going to happen in the match, and especially based on what happened at Full Gear. Like, you knew that there was going to be some sort of little interaction with them where they're not seeing eye to eye. And the match starts, you know, going and whatnot. When Shane Taylor came off the rope and Keith Lee caught him, at first you think it's going to be like a frog splash or a crossbody or whatever. And the fact that Keith Lee just caught him, a guy that size, I don't care how big of a dude you are, how Keith Lee didn't, like, his knees didn't bend or he kind of stumble one way or another from, like, you know, the catching the weight of Shane. I mean, he just caught him and didn't budge. It was, I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I literally just stopped. And then it made me even more fixated in like watching intensely to the match. It was, Keith Lee is something special. He really is.
Dude, he really is. I was absolutely shocked at how he just did that with such ease. But the storyline with Swerve and Lee, it seems as though Tony Khan is really putting a lot of detail into this, and it was a very nice little touch that added to the match overall. And the match was very good. And I can't really complain about that whatsoever. So, got a very good tag team match, and we inevitably got another layer added onto this Keith Lee Swerve Strickland storyline. And if it was up to me, though, I would actually like to see Swerve join Shane Taylor Promotions. I think that would be a great faction for Swerve, if Swerve really wants to dabble in that.
I actually had that thought yesterday when he walks out on Keith Lee. My first thought was, I can see Swerve joining Shane Taylor.
It would be a very nice little extra added adrenaline on top of this already developing Swerve Strickland heel turn. That's for sure. But
the fact that Keith Lee won, like, that's gonna, like you said, it's just gonna be another little spark to feed that flame for their inevitable match that we're gonna get.
And again, Swerve intentionally hit Keith Lee, and
right.
Keith Lee walked out. Keith Lee accidentally hit Swerve, and Swerve walked out.
I was actually shocked that Keith Lee won the match, because, you know, usually when a partner walks out on their tag team, that's it. You know, they lose. Yeah. So the fact that they had Keith Lee go over, I was like, oh, okay, that was something I didn't see coming. That was a nice little nuance that they threw in there. So yeah, that was a great match.
So from there, we had the Embassy versus Dalton Castle and the Boys. This was for the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championships. Let me say something. Initially, when I saw Dalton Castle, I saw his first ever matchup with Joe Hendry at Supercard of Honor on the buy-in, or the 0 hour back on April 1st, right? When I first saw Dalton Castle, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He looks like a fucking moron. He's coming out with this fucking peacock suit and shit. And then I started to see him more. I saw him wrestle against Jonathan Gresham, and he had a very good match there. And then I saw him wrestle again, and then him and the Boys wrestled the Righteous, and then he wrestled Jericho. And I'm like, all right. I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand the appeal. The guy, he he may not be everyone's cup of tea, but when it comes to pro wrestling, the guy gets it. The guy gets it. The guy lives the gimmick. He lives the gimmick. He's flamboyant. He's over the top, and he does shit. He's like a guy that has a mentality of, all right, if there's one thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that I stick out on this show. And that's exactly what it does. He sticks out. He's not like, in a world of pro wrestling where everyone is a dime a dozen, Dalton Castle, in terms of a gimmick, his appearance, his mannerisms, his flamboyancy, he sticks out. Now, I could do without the boys. The boys seem cringe, but Dalton Castle himself, he's just a vibe. He's just a vibe. He just has that certain factor, that must-see factor that people are going to go out of their way to watch him. And he's mega over with the crowd. He got some of the biggest pops of the night. So you know what? He's growing on me. I'm becoming more of a Dalton Castle fan week after week after week. The Embassy, I'm an Embassy guy. I've been an Embassy guy for a long time. They look great as a trio. They look phenomenal as a trio. And initially, I didn't know how Prince Nana was going to favor with them. He actually fits with them very nicely. I don't have an issue with Prince Nana at all. And this was a fun little match, right outcome. But if I'm going to say what was probably the weakest match on the show, it was probably this one. Not to say that it was a bad match, because it wasn't. It was a fun little match. Dalton Castle's great. The Embassy's great. It was just, it didn't really have the same energy as the previous matches. But it was still a fun match. So the boys, this was Brendan and Brent. They played little cat and mouse with Brian Cage. Leona just fucking bulldozed them. He fucking ran them over like a Mack truck, which was very entertaining to watch. The boys were then caught with 2 stalling suplexes by Cage and Leona. Cage was in control. Brendan got turned inside out by Brian Cage. Leona with a splash onto Brendan on the apron. Cage then with a deadlift suplex. The Embassy were in firm control here. We had a tag to Dalton Castle. He lit up everyone. A big toss to Bishop Khan. Big boot to Cage. Big exploder to Cage. German suplex to Leona. He started throwing everyone everywhere. He then threw the boys into the Embassy one by one. Bring me a boy. And he started throwing them through the ropes. Brent then tagged in. All of a sudden, Toa Leona, and this was great, Toa Leona powered up both of the boys in a double Samoan drop, and he actually landed it pretty flush. He had some trouble getting them up, but he landed it pretty flush. The boys kicked out. The boys were then on the receiving end of an Alabama slam by Khan. Castle then came in with a Bro Derek on Bishop Khan. Leona then with a Uranagi to Castle. Drill Claw by Brian Cage. Nana then got involved. Leona then pounced Brent into Castle. They were taken out. Brent, this was nuts right here. The elevation that Brent got, it was a seesaw. Threw him up. He was sent into fucking orbit. Came down. I thought he was going to join the fucking satellite. That's
Cameron Grimes. Join Cameron Grimes up on the moon, huh?
There you go. Join Cameron Grimes. He was going to join Cameron Grimes up on the moon. He came down right into a power bomb by Brian Cage. 1, 2, 3, and the Embassy win the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championships. Absolutely the right outcome. They did the right thing, and in the end, the Embassy, they get some gold around their waist, and I'm so happy that they did. The Embassy are absolutely the right team for the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championships, and I'm very, very happy that they are holding them currently right now. Now, I would absolutely, if I was Tony Khan, I would bring the Righteous in. I don't know why the fuck the Righteous were not signed, because the Righteous, they very much impressed me back at Death Before Dishonor. The Righteous were great. So that kind of got under my skin a little bit, but it is what it is. But I'm happy that the Embassy are the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champions. And Dalton Castle, he can go off. He'll be able to do other things. He can fight for the Pure title. He can fight Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor World Television title. You need a big baby face to take down Samoa Joe for the World Television title, right? You got Dalton Castle. Simple. But this was absolutely the right outcome. Fun match, but probably the weakest on the show, looking back at it. But HooliGrim, I'm going to hand it over to you. Let me hear it.
Just a couple of things. One about Dalton Castle. I don't know. I might be the only one that feels this way, but before he showed up in AEW, he was another name that I had heard about, but I'd never seen his work. And the first time I saw him, it was exactly how you stated. I was trying to understand the gimmick, I guess. And yesterday, just what kept running through my mind was Dalton Castle and the boys are what Adam Rose, if WWE would have toned down all the people, all the Rose party that followed him and just had a couple of people, like, I'm like, that's what Adam Rose should have been in NXT and WWE. I just kept thinking throughout this match, every time I saw Dalton Castle, I don't know why I kept going back to Adam Rose, but he's impressive. Like you said, he might not be everybody's cup of tea, but just critiquing him from the pro wrestling standpoint, you're right. He gets it. The gimmick, the outlet, the flamboyance, the words he uses when he's cutting a promo, everything's so like over the top, and it's like, this guy can't be serious. And when you first see him, you're just kind of like, oh, come on, like, what is this? And then it takes you a little bit, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. Now I get that he gets it. So, yeah, he's very good. And
he actually has a great finisher too. I love the Bangarang.
The Embassy. What's the name of the big Samoan guy?
Toa Leona. We got Toa Leona, Bishop Khan, and Brian Cage. Bishop Khan and Leona are known as the Gates of Agony. They're collectively
Gates of Agony. Thank you. Yeah. That's what I kept having in my mind. So when you first said the Embassy, I was like, wait, who's the Embassy? Because I kept thinking Gates of Agony. I might be wrong, but isn't Toa Leona? Isn't he Haku's son?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think he's Jacob. I think he's Jacob Fatu's brother.
Let's look it up. Let's look it up.
I might be mistaken.
Toa Leona. He was trained by Rikishi.
Oh, okay. I thought I read somewhere sometime that he was Jacob Fatu's brother, but I'm probably wrong about that. But I
don't know. Let's see. Personal life. No, I don't think so.
No? Huh.
I didn't read anything, but he was trained by Rikishi, and he is Samoan.
Yeah, just from a look standpoint, I mean, good Lord. You want to talk about somebody you don't want to run into. You're talking about Shane Taylor not wanting to get struck by him. I don't want to be in the squared circle at all with Toa Leona, man. That guy is
scary. He's
right?
fucking scary.
I'm like, how did this guy never make his way to WWE just based on looks, you know? I mean, Vince hired the Warlord a long time ago, and it's not like the Warlord was some in-ring specialist, but he had that just look of like, oh God, like, what's this guy capable of doing, you know? The Gates of Agony, just looking at him, it's like, oh, these guys look badass. And I'm excited to see more of them, to be honest with you. Really am. Brian Cage, I don't know what it is about Brian Cage. I loved him in Lucha Underground, but I feel like there's something missing from him. And I thought he looked great yesterday with the black hair and the black gear and stuff. But I kind of just wish, like,
well, now he's in the correct role. This is
yeah,
the role.
That, or I was going to say, if they were going to keep him as a singles wrestler, give him his wife back.
Do that down the line.
Yeah, but they're going to have to, I don't know. I always liked him coming out with his wife. I thought that was a good dynamic that they had. But yeah, that was another good match. But I mean, at this point, we've had so many great matches, and I was like, oh my God, this card has like been way better than I thought it was going to be, especially for no build. So while this wasn't a bad match, I kind of felt bad for these guys because they had to follow everything, you know, that happened before them. So somebody's got to kind of bite the bullet on the card, so to speak, when it comes to having to follow banger after banger after banger of a match. But it was also, I had stuff going on at the house, and I don't know much about these two teams, so I wasn't like literally sitting there like watching intently. But I'm really excited to see, like, so many tag teams in ROH already. I'm like, this is my promotion for sure when it comes to tag team wrestling, because all these guys are just amazing.
And we did get the right outcome in the end.
Yes,
This
totally.
was the right outcome.
And good luck beating those guys for those titles. I don't know. It makes me wonder if TK's. I'm assuming at some point we'll have a trios promotion, like AEW versus ROH trios or something, maybe.
If they want to dabble in that, I would love to see maybe the Blackpool Combat Club go down to Ring of Honor. Brian, Claudio, and
or House of Black.
Or House of Black. I'd love to see that shit.
Versus the Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. Oh my God, those guys would pummel each other.
We had a little bit of a brawl before the Pure title match. It was Top Flight and 2.0. They got into a brawl, and then 2.0, they cut a little promo before the Pure title match. Parker talked about how you're feeling nostalgic. If Ring of Honor was so great, why did it die in the first place? Because it's all flippy, floppy garbage like Top Flight, and the only person that can save it is the Ocho, Chris Jericho. Menard goes, you want to know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard? He goes, when Claudio loses to Jericho, he'll be a tag team with Jake Hager, and we're calling it the Hat Trick. There was a part of me that actually wanted to see that. I think that Jake Hager right now, he's actually fucking killing it with the hat gimmick. It's stupid, but it's fucking hilarious. And again, he's not being overexposed with it, minus a thing or two here or there. He's playing it up on social media. I would have loved to seen that. I thought that would have been entertaining gold.
It's almost kind of like the 2022 version of Al Snow and Head.
Yeah. It's brilliant. So, afterwards, Wheeler Yuta interrupted them. We had Wheeler Yuta coming out, and then Daniel Garcia came out. This was for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Let me tell you something. If we're talking about new stars created in the year 2022, if we're talking about breakout stars, we can talk about Wardlow, and we could talk about his rise over MJF and winning the TNT title. We could talk about a Jamie Hayter and how she's become her own woman, and she put on a fantastic match with Toni Storm at Full Gear, and she won the championship. We could talk about the Acclaimed and their rise to superstardom. I was there at Grand Slam when they won the tag team titles, so I know. I felt the energy. It was fucking loud. But if we're talking about breakout stars for 2022, numbers 1 and 2 will be Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia. Their rise to prominence this year has been practically identical. It's been unbelievable. Mm-hmm. They have rose to prominence the same time, in the same exact manner, a part of two different factions, two different paths that are identically parallel to each other. Mm-hmm. It is unbelievable. And these series of matches have been phenomenal. This trilogy between Yuta and Garcia has been excellent. Absolutely excellent. And it is unbelievable that these two young guys are rising to prominence at the same time, almost in the same exact manner. And I'm telling you, in another 5 years, we're going to see this shit for a TNT title. We're going to see this shit for an All-Atlantic title. We're going to see it for a fucking... I would not be surprised if this shit is a Ring of Honor World Championship match within the next year or two. I would not be surprised whatsoever. It is unbelievable. Top 2 breakout stars of the year, no matter which way you look at it, numbers 1 and 2 will be Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia. It is unbelievable. And it's been a wonderful thing to see. Really has. This match was excellent. So we had some forearm strikes right out of the gate, one after the other. Yuta and Garcia, they traded closed fists, and you can't do that in a pure rules match. You can't do that in a pure rules match, so they were both issued a warning. Garcia then with a German suplex on the floor. Yuta was sent into the steps. Garcia was in control. Yuta was bounced throat first on the exposed buckle rod. So right then and there, that was the story of the match. It was Yuta's throat. It looked nasty. Yuta used one rope break. Yuta used 2 rope breaks. Yuta used 3 rope breaks. So he could use no more. He could use no more. Yuta was essentially fucked. Or so we thought. Garcia was then hit with a diving forearm off the top. Yuta then was caught in a sharpshooter. Garcia bent back too much. Yuta caught him, reversed it into a bulldog choke and a crossface. They started slapping each other, chop for chop. Yuta with a middle rope drop kick. Drop kick by Garcia. Brain buster by Yuta. Both men are down. They both traded strikes, slaps back and forth. Rebound, German suplex. Olympic slam, Garcia kicked out. Garcia caught Yuta with a spike pile driver. Yuta kicked out. Sharpshooter connects. Again, Yuta beat Garcia over the ropes. He bent him over the ropes, almost in like a dragon sleeper, over the ropes. And again, Yuta couldn't use the ropes for a break, but he used the ropes to bend Garcia back. And Garcia fell to the floor, choked him out. Yuta back body dropped Garcia on the apron. Yuta then with a cross-legged tombstone pile driver for 2. Yuta then had enough. Hammer and anvil elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Garcia went limp. He was out. He went just completely limp. He was like a lifeless corpse. And Garcia was just spread out as if he was on the cross being crucified by Wheeler Yuta. Crucified with the hammer and anvil elbows. Garcia passed out. And Yuta won the Pure Championship. I was shocked by this outcome. This was probably the second most shocking outcome of the night. I thought Daniel Garcia was the guy. I thought Garcia was the man. I thought they were going to push forth with Daniel Garcia and they were going to make him the face of the Pure division. But no, it was Yuta. And Garcia was protected in defeat. Yuta won the championship back. I had Garcia, and if it was up to me, I probably would have given the edge to Garcia. But you know what? I can't complain about it. I can't complain about Yuta. Yuta's fantastic. Yuta is easily a future TNT champion, a future world champion. The guy has put on 3 excellent matches with Garcia, and their rise to prominence and it being so parallel, so identical, but yet 2 different paths, it's going to be looked back on X amount of years from now when these 2 are in bigger and better positions down the road. It's been a wonderful thing to see. And Yuta wins. Props to Yuta. They're putting forth Yuta in the Blackpool Combat Club with Bryan and with Moxley. Although I don't know where Moxley's going to fit. Moxley could end up turning heel with what's been going on, and Page could be a top babyface going forth. But Yuta looks to be the guy in the Pure division that they're going to be pushing, and Yuta looks to be the guy that they're going to have lead the Pure division until he's ready to be AEW full-time, and we have a guy that's ready to replace Wheeler Yuta in the Pure division. But this was excellent. Very shocking outcome, but I'm not complaining. HooliGrim, what you got for me?
I too was very impressed with these guys. I was pretty critical of Wheeler Yuta in the previous months over the summer and stuff, just because of when he was cutting the promos on AEW, and you can tell when it comes to promo skills, like, you know, he needs some more time, I think, to find his voice.
He was fine in the video packages.
Yeah, just I don't know what it was live, but there was just something about them promos that I was like, I've already seen the potential. I know he's a good wrestler, especially for how young he is already, but please don't put him on the mic anymore. However, there's something about these two kids that, you know how like when AEW started, they did all the talk about the pillars of AEW, like a MJF, a Darby Allin. I would literally make Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia the day one like pillars of this new ROH. These two guys, you can just tell they're going to be like the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn of ROH for years to come. Like there's something about these two that, as young as they are, like they've had good matches with other people, but when they're in the ring together, there's just some kind of magic happening. It's like they understand each other, and like you said, you know, their rise has been pretty parallel. I feel like we got a little more pushing of the Daniel Garcia when they were doing the whole, you know, is he going to turn on Jericho and everybody, or and that whole storyline or whatnot.
They could still pick that up after what happened.
Yeah. I just feel like they were focusing for a while more, I felt like, on Daniel Garcia, and because I don't know, maybe if it's his deeper voice, maybe he's just a little bit better at promos. It wasn't so cringy as like when Wheeler Yuta was doing those live promos to me, but these two get in the ring and it's like, how old are they again? Like, good Lord.
I think Garcia's 23.
Yeah.
And he was like 26.
We're going to be watching them two, you know, you know, if things go smoothly and, you know, God forbid, knock on wood, there's nothing, you know, nothing standing in their way. We're going to be watching these two kids for a while.
Now, the outcome, were you expecting this outcome?
No, actually, I wasn't. I figured they would keep the title on Garcia. But these two guys, there's, like I said, there's a chemistry that they have that's it's like these two are meant to just have a lifelong rivalry, almost like a, I don't know, Hogan Macho Man, or a like I said, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn type of deal, where we'll be seeing them, you know, and they'll go and fight their other people and whatever, but we'll, I think, over the years come back to these guys a lot. They're special, and Wheeler Yuta is very, very good. I was almost glad that match happened yesterday, because I was getting pretty put off of not Daniel Garcia. I'm sorry. I was getting pretty put off of Wheeler Yuta just from what was going on in AEW, and it had nothing to do with his in-ring ability. But these two guys, when they got together, it totally changed like the dynamic of Wheeler Yuta in my mind as to like how I've been perceiving him the last couple of months. So I was very happy for him, and shocked at the outcome. Yeah. So I feel like them putting the pure title on him, you kind of see that Tony Khan is kind of looking at him as, like, at least in that division, as he's going to be like the pillar of that division, you know?
Yeah, and he actually made history. He's the first ever 2-time pure Ring of Honor champion. So,
oh, wow.
Wheeler Yuta, he made history.
Yeah, congrats to him. That match was really, really good. Those kids, it's like they understand strong style already, you know?
They're so good, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, that's crazy how good they are for their age, too. Really impressive.
The match of the decade, right here. Them boys.
Yeah, baby.
Versus the top guys. FTR. This is a double dog collar match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. I took a page and a half of notes on everything that we saw here.
Insanity.
You will not find a single word, a single phrase, a single sentence, a single paragraph that I will read to you, say to you, expectorate to you. You will not find anything that I will say that is going to do this match justice. I thought that the 2 out of 3 falls match was going to be the match of the year. And then I watched this match. My fucking Lord. My fucking Lord. I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin with this match. It is unbelievable. And you know something? Time Warner really needs to grow a pair of fucking balls. Let the fucking Briscoes on TV. Who the fuck cares about what they said X amount of years ago? Shit's in the past. It's been handled. Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Seriously.
Agreed.
Should not have any issue with it when you're making all the fucking money that you are making right now. It is ridiculous. But this match, I mean, holy shit. The outcome kind of surprised me a little bit too. It surprised me, but at the same point in time, it didn't surprise me. Because FTR did say that they are keeping their options a little bit more open. So could we potentially see FTR back in WWE by next summer? I don't know. It's definitely a possibility. I wouldn't mind it. But to me, I don't know. I just kind of feel a little empty that we did not get to see FTR have the 4-belt combination. I'm a little empty that we didn't get to see that, but still, I mean, FTR, after what they've been doing, they can drop both sets of titles and they can get a well-needed rest. Because holy shit, do they fucking need it. Do they fucking need it.
Well, if they didn't after yesterday, they do.
Holy shit, dude. This brawl started out immediately. So Cash was dog-collared to Mark Briscoe, while Dax was handcuffed, or dog-collared, rather, to Jay Briscoe. Dax threw a chair right at Jay's head. These guys were all bleeding immediately. They were brawling in the crowd, brawling on the stage. Mark Briscoe dove off the stage onto Cash. We had a German suplex barrage by Dax. Cash tied up Mark Briscoe around the post, choking him like it was a fucking noose. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." We had a big elbow drop with the chain by Mark Briscoe, the king of redneck kung fu. We had Mark Briscoe making a bed of steel chairs. Mark Briscoe then tore apart the tables. Everyone was busted open. Jay and Dax brawled up top. Dax headbutted Jay Briscoe with the chain. Dax then accidentally punched Mike Posey with the chain. He was busted open like a stuck pig. Cash Wheeler then with a back suplex on the apron to Mark. Mark Briscoe was put on the table, but he got up. Both men were on the apron. Cash was put on the table. Cash then got up. He dragged Mark Briscoe by the chain. Mark Briscoe got fucking air. He soared through the fucking skies in Texas, flew with a senton, and he was driven right onto the bed of steel chairs. Crashed and burned. I don't know how his spine wasn't shattered into a million pieces. So after that, Dax was hit with a Tiger Driver 98 by Jay Briscoe on the chains. Dax kicked out. Jay then hit Dax with a steel chair over and over. Dax, pile driver on the chair. I thought that was it. Jay kicked out. Cash then gave Dax even more chairs, and I fucking laughed out loud when I heard this. He goes, "Fucking murder him." Unbelievable. It's like only FTR, man. Only FTR and the Briscoes. Jay then took over, delivered a superplex on the bed of steel chairs. All of a sudden, he delivered a crossface, wrapped the chain around Dax's head, crossface with the chain. Mark Briscoe held Cash Wheeler back, and Dax passed out. Dax couldn't do it anymore. Dax passed out, and the Briscoes are the new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. A battle and a feud that started 1 year at the same exact Final Battle ends 1 year later at Final Battle 2022, and it almost felt like a changing of the guard. Incredible. Incredible fucking match. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. FTR and the Briscoes put on one of the greatest trilogies that we've seen since Gargano and Ciampa in 2018. The greatest trilogy since that epic Gargano-Ciampa feud with the unsanctioned match, the street fight, and the last man standing match. I cannot, and I mean I cannot, give these two teams enough props. It literally brought me back to Gargano and Ciampa and how good those matches were. This match may very well have topped it. This match may very well have topped it. FTR then received a standing ovation before the Gun Club attacked. The Gun Club then said FTR's legacy is dying and we won't stop until the Guns are the ones who kill it. Now, I don't know what's going on there, but I actually think that the Guns are going to use FTR as a stepping stone to inevitably get to the Acclaimed, because that's a match for the World Tag Team titles that we will inevitably see somewhere down the road. And that could very well be the Guns coming out party, especially since Daddy Ass is still affiliated with the Acclaim. So, I mean, the story pretty much writes itself there, but they're going to get through FTR. I have a feeling that FTR are going to look to help get the Guns over. Dude, I don't even know what else to fucking say. I mean, do you have anything else to add on top of what I just said?
I could probably talk about this match for an hour. It's not going to, like you said, do it justice. I feel bad almost like if you don't, first of all, if you don't know about them boys, go look them up, because how they never made it to WWE is a crying shame, in my opinion. They've been really good for a really long time, and it's like they relish in the fact that they fly under the radar, kind of out of like mainstream exposure, and it fits them. You can't put into words what any of those three matches we got from them this year. I thought their first match was match of the year, and then we got the 2 out of 3 falls, and then it was like, how could they have possibly topped that first match?
Oh, they fucking did it.
Right? And then we come into yesterday, and to get the full magnitude, I think, of what we saw yesterday in that match, you've almost got to go back and watch the other 2 matches and kind of look up their little feud over the last year and how it all started. Because when we get to yesterday, you know, I'm just literally almost like foaming at the mouth. I'm sitting at the edge of my seat. This is what I'm waiting for. And I knew it was going to be a banger. However, I had no idea we were going to get the spots that we got in that match. And the blood, just the visuals of that match was like, you know, to your point, Cash Wheeler saying fucking murder him. That's what it looked like they were doing to each other in the ring. I mean, there was blood.
It's actually on right now in the background.
Nice.
It's on right now.
There was so much blood, so much chairs, tables, chaos. The announcers, the commentary, very underrated commentary in Ring of Honor, and they did a great job at just, you know, like Caprice Coleman talking about, Rick Bonnie, I think at one point said, there's blood splattered all over my notes. Caprice is like, you know, there's blood everywhere. And there literally was. The Briscoes and FTR, like I said earlier in the podcast, my thing is tag team wrestling. And not to take away from that Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa trilogy, I will just keep this contained to in the tag team spectrum of things. You're not going to find a better tag team trilogy than that I can ever remember. Them two teams are the most believable, badass, hard-hitting tag teams this side of the Road Warriors, in my opinion. And like you said, the English language does not have the words to accurately describe how epic that match was and what those guys put themselves through. It was a sight to behold, and to get up and to make that after the 2 brutal matches you've had already, to then put yourself through that. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe them boys have a match coming up in House of Glory next weekend.
Yes. I'm
like, how are they even going to be able to move next weekend after yesterday?
They don't fucking care. They don't fucking care. They won't stop until they die in the ring.
Such a great match. Like, that match was absolutely just jaw-dropping. Like, what the hell am I watching? It was amazing. It was for sure. That's my match of the year, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, hands down. No questions asked about it. And I'll be doing my top 10 matches of the year, probably on the New Year's Eve edition of the LFU. First time ever, actually. I'm gonna do a Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve edition of the LFU.
I mean, it's going to be hard not to put all 3 of their matches in the top 10.
Well, I'm going to do one. I'm picking one.
I'm just saying, you've got a lot of choices to choose from when it comes to these 4 guys.
You think? I have a lot of choices when it comes to the world of pro wrestling in 2022.
Yeah.
Samoa Joe and Juice Robinson for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. This was good. It was just in a terrible spot. This was a good match, but I mean, let's be real. You could have put Jesus Christ and a live Sermon on the Mount in the middle of the ring. There's no way that anyone was fucking following the Briscoes and FTR. Not to say that it was bad. It was good, but it was just a terrible spot. On top of that, the match pretty much came out of thin air because Juice Robinson is now a part of the AEW Tony Khan Ring of Honor roster. And on top of that, no one believes that Samoa Joe is losing either of those titles. Samoa Joe right now is on the run of his life. Samoa Joe right now, this is the Samoa Joe we should have gotten in WWE on the main roster. I don't know why we didn't fucking get it, but I mean, you take a look at him now, this is exactly what we should have gotten with Samoa Joe on Raw and SmackDown. And
Agreed.
The fact that we haven't, after seeing this, just pisses me off. The guy, now listen, he shouldn't have won the TNT title. I'm going to say it once again. He shouldn't have won the TNT title to begin with, but holy fuck, dude. Does he look like a fucking beast with both titles? Does he look like a fucking beast just strutting to the ring with both titles like a cocky motherfucker? Every time I see Joe just strutting down to the ring with those titles for the last couple weeks, I can't help but laugh to myself. I'm like, this guy, he knows he's good, and he's just fucking showing it off. That's what I love about Samoa Joe. He knows how to, he has that aura about himself. Like, this guy, he's a cocky motherfucker, but he has every right to be when he's doing what he's doing. And that's what I love about Samoa Joe. But if you're asking me what should have happened, it should have been Wardlow here at this match. It should have been Wardlow versus Joe. Now, here's the thing. When Wardlow and Joe inevitably have their match for the TNT title, which I know is coming, Wardlow should not win. Wardlow does not need the win, because if Wardlow gets the win, then Wardlow is inevitably going to be the TNT champion again, and the TNT title will look like a hot potato. What should happen is Wardlow should take the Ring of Honor World Television title from Samoa Joe. That's what this match should have been. It should have been Wardlow and Joe, with Wardlow taking the World Television title from Joe. Then Joe could have done his own thing on Dynamite with the TNT title, and you could have built up towards a match with Joe and Ricky Starks, which I do believe is that's what they're going for. Starks should win the Face of the Revolution ladder match in March, and Starks should take the TNT title off Joe at St. Patrick's Day Slam in March. That is the proper way to go about it. But as far as the World Television title, I don't understand why this wasn't Wardlow, because Wardlow could have done his thing with the World Television title, because Wardlow's a guy that could easily be slated to take the title off the MJF when the time is right, probably in 2024. I would say wait until MJF has at least surpassed 400, 500 days as champion, and then you can give Wardlow the World Championship. But Wardlow, he needs something to do in the interim. You're not just going to leave him to do nothing. If anything, it should be Wardlow with the Ring of Honor World Television title right now. Joe's great, but he doesn't need two titles. He could just be a beast as TNT champion, and it wouldn't really make a difference. Now, the match was good. Do not misconstrue that. The match was good. It was quality. It was just in a terrible spot, and it came out of thin air. It would have made more sense if it was Wardlow and Joe, with Wardlow winning the Ring of Honor World Television title. But Juice Robinson and Samoa Joe, they traded some back and forth chops. Joe and Robinson were driven into the barricade. Juice Robinson with a cannonball into Joe. Uranagi by Joe. A huge tope suicida by Joe. Joe then wore down Robinson. Juice with some stiff jabs. Joe with an atomic drop, big boot, running senton combination. Juice came back with another cannonball. Diving crossbody for a 2. Juice was caught with a powerbomb into an STF combo by Joe. Juice got to the ropes. Juice with a sunset flip for a 2. Juice hit a Booker T-like Harlem sidekick. And then Joe inevitably hit the Muscle Buster. 1, 2, 3, and Samoa Joe gets the win over Juice Robinson. Rightfully so. He was not going to lose. Good match, but it was just in a terrible spot because no one was going to follow them boys in the top guys. Let's be real here. But would you care to comment on this match? And what should they have done? Should they have gone with the Wardlow direction to have Wardlow win that title, to run with that while Joe does his thing with the TNT title? That's what I would have done.
So after the tag team match, I'm pretty buzzing off of that match at this point, and I figured, okay, whoever's next, it's got to be like some sort of non-title. I thought it was gonna. I was, when Samoa Joe came out, I was like, I was almost sad in a sense, because I was like, oh, they're putting Joe after that match. I'm like, man, that's a terrible spot to be in. But for my money, I was actually pretty impressed with the match. I didn't think it was gonna. I mean, Joe can't have a bad match, but like you said, I mean, just being in that position on the card, you're not gonna follow that tag team match. So I actually, when the match was over, I was like, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. They could have gone with like a women's match or something like that after the tag team, but Samoa Joe killed it. I was surprised too that it was Juice Robinson, because I felt like I knew right away, like, Samoa Joe comes out, and like you said, he's got them 2 titles on his shoulders, and he looks more badass than ever before. And I don't know if it's having them 2 titles or what, because he always comes down with his swagger, and that he knows in his mind, win, lose, or draw, he's at least someone's getting their ass whooped regardless. But with those titles, he just looks unstoppable now. You know what I mean? And I was almost kind of bummed that it was Juice Robinson, because I knew right away, okay, so Samoa Joe's going to win this match. There's no way. I mean, they just put 2 titles on him. Why would he lose in a was there a title on the line?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was the Ring of Honor World Television Show.
Yeah, I didn't figure that they were going to have Juice Robinson go over Samoa Joe, having won those titles so recently. When it comes to Wardlow, I don't really know. Like, when I keep thinking about Wardlow, I don't even know if they know the direction they want to go with Wardlow, because
Wardlow should have never lost the TNT title. Wardlow should have had a defining victory at Full Gear, and Wardlow could have gotten the match with Darby Allin last week on Dynamite. That could have been Wardlow. Wardlow realistically should have held the TNT title going into Revolution, and then you could have built up a new heel. If you wanted to build up a guy like a Hobbs, if you wanted to build up a Starks as a babyface, someone like that. If you wanted to build up a Malachi Black, if you wanted to bring back Miro, if you wanted to have Miro take it off, if you wanted to have Roosh take it off him. But there was no reason for him to drop the title now. If you wanted to have, if we're going to be honest here, there's no reason why this couldn't have been Wardlow. There's no reason why Wardlow couldn't have had 2 titles. If you're asking me, here's what I would have done. I would have had Wardlow beat Hobbs and Joe at Full Gear by beating Hobbs. Joe could have came out like the badass that he is. Wardlow, you didn't beat me. Let's do this at Final Battle. Title for title. TNT title and Ring of Honor World Television Championship. And Wardlow could have walked away with both titles. And that would have been a defining victory for Wardlow. So if he lost one title, he still had the other title to fall back on and continue on in the interim while MJF continued to build his legacy. And then when the time was right, you could have taken the TNT title or the Ring of Honor World Television title. You could have taken whichever title Wardlow still had off of him, and then you could have built him up to fight MJF. There's no reason why this couldn't have been Wardlow.
Agreed. It kind of makes me wonder, since they put the belt on Joe, they clearly want to, like, I don't know. I feel like Tony Khan's maybe thinking more long-term when it comes to making Wardlow world champion. Like, maybe his thought process is a couple years from now, not within the next year. I don't know.
Yes, you're right, but that doesn't mean he doesn't need to go titleless for now.
True. And then maybe they put it on Joe so that they can revisit that and Wardlow can win it back, maybe, or win the television title for...
I give it to Starks. Starks is losing. Starks is losing this Wednesday. He's going to lose, but if anything, this is going to be the catapult to him winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and then he should beat Joe at St. Patrick's Day Slam. Similar to how they did Wardlow winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and then Wardlow faced off against Scorpio Sky at St. Patrick's Day Slam, but he didn't win because of MJF. This time, Starks would be the one to win it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Still a good match, but...
Yeah, Juice Robinson, I really... you know, he's come such a long way since his days at the early brand new NXT Black and Gold, before we even really got the true essence of Black and Gold when he was CJ Parker or whatever. That gimmick was, he probably had the worst gimmick in all of the years of Black and Gold. And
Yeah.
then he goes to New Japan or whatever. I like him in this gimmick.
Environmentalist. Now, looking back on it, if they allowed him to be a little bit more of himself, I think he could have gotten it over if he was a little bit more intense, but you know, they didn't.
Yeah.
Only Jericho could really get something like that over, let's be real.
Yeah, it was pretty cringy to me. So I never really, sometimes when you have a bad gimmick, it prevents the viewer from really seeing. It almost puts like a blocker in front of, like, when as a viewer, you're like, you can't get past the cheesy gimmick in order to see how good they are in the ring. And that was what CJ Parker was for me in NXT. But this match, like I said, I wasn't expecting Juice to win by any stretch of the imagination, but to follow that tag team match, they gave a pretty stiff match. I mean, Joe's, you know, that's another guy you're not getting me in the ring with ever.
No, thank you.
Especially, yeah, he's brutal, but it was what it was. I mean, by no means was it a bad match. It's just, like you said, how are you going to follow what we just saw before that?
And then in the main event, Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Jericho. This is for the Ring of Honor World Championship, and this was a very good main event. Very good main event. This was a match that was worthy of being called a main event. Claudio went right on the attack, uppercut city, neutralizer right out of the gate. Jericho kicked out. Deadlift, gut wrench, superplex off the middle rope. Claudio with a big boot. Claudio then missed a cannonball, and Jericho flipped off the crowd like only he does because he's the Ocho, or he was the Ocho. Back suplex by Jericho. Pop-up uppercut for a 2. Jericho with the 10 punches in the corner. Hurricane Rana countered. Claudio clobbered Jericho in the chest up on the middle rope. Jericho hit the Hurricane Rana. That got a 2. Claudio dodged the code breaker. Jericho blocked the swing. Claudio was sent to the floor. We had uppercuts connecting by Claudio. Both men were on the apron, and Jericho suplexed Claudio to the floor. Clothesline by both men. Both men are down. We had some chops, some uppercuts. Claudio with the swing. Jericho countered it. This was a beautiful counter. I don't think I've ever seen the swing countered like this. Mid-swing, Jericho grabbed the leg, got himself free, transitioned into the walls. Beautiful. Claudio got to the ropes. The JAS then came out. Matt Menard gave Jericho the bat while Cool Hand Ange distracted him. Baseball bat to the face. 1, 2, Claudio kicked out. Parker and Menard were then ejected. We had a code breaker by Jericho. Jericho went for the Judas effect, but it was blocked. The swing, round and round we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. We go to 10, 11, 12, 13. We go to 20, 21, 22, 30. And after 30 revolutions in the middle of the swing, Jericho tapped out because he just couldn't tolerate it anymore. Something I've never seen done before. And Claudio wins the Ring of Honor World Championship. Now, first off, Jericho continues to add to his career year. Jericho continues to add to his list of great matches this year. When you're going to look back at AEW and / Ring of Honor for 2022, Jericho is going to be one of the MVPs. Jericho is fantastic. Now, I'm happy for Claudio, but I just can't help but feel as though they did it a little too soon. Now, what I had in my mind is if we were going to get the Ring of Honor TV deal and we were going to, potentially get it at some point next year, hell, you could have even dragged it to Supercard of Honor. If we were going to wait until Supercard of Honor, I mean, wouldn't it have made more sense to have Jericho win here? Claudio would join the JAS, and Claudio would be embarrassed week after week by Jericho, and the fans would get behind Claudio to fucking hit him. Fucking hit me. And then when Claudio snaps, he just attacks everyone in the JAS. Then Jericho says, all right, you know what? I'll give you one last shot. But if you lose, you will not wrestle for Ring of Honor. You will not wrestle for AEW. You will not wrestle under Tony Khan ever again. That's what I would have done. And that would have been a little bit more of a better story. Now, did this get Claudio more over? Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. But I just can't help that there was a little bit left on the table. They just left a little bit more money on the table. They didn't take all the money from the table. It's like they won a poker game. It's like they won a poker game. They won $100,000, but they only took $60,000. They didn't take everything. They didn't take all the money that they've won. They didn't take all the money that could have been made. That was my only criticism. Other than that, I'm happy for Claudio. Chris Jericho's reign with the Ring of Honor World title has been great. He did fantastic with that title, and he got Claudio even more over. This was a great match. You know what I also find funny? And this is also positive before I let you say what you need to say, and then we're going to get on out of here. What I find funny, what I find hilarious, actually, WWE had Claudio for over 8 years. He didn't even so much as sniff a world title. Here he is under Tony Khan, 2 world titles, and he hasn't even been there, 7, 8 months? The difference, dude, the fucking difference. It is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. But man, great match. I would have had Claudio lose just to drag it out a little bit more to Supercard of Honor, just to tell a story, but I had no issue with it in the end. Other than that, great main event to cap off a great show, and props to Claudio. The Blackpool Combat Club are running Ring of Honor, and we got an excellent pay-per-view and one of Tony Khan's best overall weeks in a long time. Let me hear it, and then we're going to get on out of here, brother.
All right. A few things to say about this match. First of all, Jericho. Been a fan of Jericho for a really long time, but he was never somebody that I looked at as Mount Rushmore status. And then he helps kick off AEW and everything he's done in the last 3 years. I recently just kind of sat back and thought about it, and I'm like, I've never seen another superstar that has reinvented himself as many times as Jericho has to stay relevant in his career. There's something about that guy. Now, when he started the Ocho thing, at first I was like, okay, Jericho's trying too hard to. Initially, I wasn't with it, and then a week or two into it, I'm going, God damn it, Jericho's done it again. You know what I mean? And I think they've got to add a fifth face to the wrestling Mount Rushmore, and you've got to at least consider Jericho for his longevity, for as many times as he's reinvented himself, like to stay relevant wherever he goes. He's really kind of a savant in that aspect, and I was totally shocked with the outcome of this match because from a long-term booking standpoint, it made sense to me to kind of have Claudio lose, and then, Jericho act like he wants him in the group, but Claudio wants nothing to do with it. And then they just kind of torture him for months, like, interfering in his matches, do whatever, however they're going to book it and almost like he's kind of chasing the title, but he's not, because he's with the faction until he finally snaps and can't take it anymore. That's where I thought they were going, especially because this whole card, there were so many title changes on this card. And usually when that happens, you get to the main event and the title's on the line. Usually the belt stays with whoever's bringing it to the ring. And I thought there was so many title changes that the fans were like, yes, over. I'm like, okay. And this is where, we can't complain if Jericho wins because we've had all this other great wrestling and all these other title changes. So, and like Vince likes to do, get everybody all riled up and then send them home deflated and just like, you know what I mean? So I thought Jericho was going to win. And the way that Claudio won with the swing, like you said, it makes me wonder, because the camera cuts to Claudio's face after he wins, and he's got this look of bewilderment on his face. Like, I wonder if I wouldn't be surprised if Jericho and Tony Khan came up with that ending, and then Jericho said, hey, we'll tell Claudio he's going over, but we're not going to tell him how he's going over. So we get that real reaction on his face. Because to me, it looked like Claudio didn't even realize that the match was over after he let go of Jericho.
Jericho said, no, I want to put him over. Because Jericho's a selfless individual.
Yeah, and so Claudio might have known that he was going to go over in that match, but if I'm going to go back and watch this whole show later today, and I thought I heard the crowd almost get to 40 even. Now the announcer I think kicked in before but the crowd was still, they were so into it that they kept counting, and I didn't even, it took me a couple seconds to realize that they had called the match off, and I was like, wait, what happened? And then, oh shit, Jericho, he submitted to the swing. Like, wow. It was just one of the moments that was like, it was a great booking decision, I thought, in terms of if you're going to have Claudio go over. But I was shocked that he won. So I guess they're starting Ring of Honor with some pillars they've got in place now, which is great for that promotion. And Jericho's done it again. However, I don't know what the JAS, what happens with that from here on out. I don't know.
Maybe they move on and do some. Maybe we see them in the trios division.
Maybe
in the trios division.
Could possibly be. But from top to bottom, with hardly any build, I mean, this show was hats off to all involved. Everybody put on stiff, great, believable matches, and it really had that old like 2016 NXT Black and Gold vibes to it, big time. And for no build at all, it's very impressive. Tony Khan's got so much talent to work with. You almost go, what do I do with all this? You know what I mean?
Just let him go. Just let him go out there and fight.
Yeah, don't micromanage. They a lot of these veterans, they can bring the young guys along with them in matches. Like, there's enough veterans in that company that know what they're doing that Tony Khan doesn't need to help them or push them along. Just let them go do what they've been doing for 20, 30 years,
Excellent stuff from top to bottom. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Danielle, Didi, Dylan, Peanuts, Final Hoss, Adam Carl, everyone. HooliGrim, you were fantastic, my man.
Thank you for having me on, bro. I've been wanting to talk wrestling with you for a long time, so I appreciate the opportunity, man.
I'll definitely have you back on going forward, that's for sure. But before we get out of here, one more time, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at HooliGrim.
Check him out, baby. The link is in the description. You can check me out. All my links are in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, share the stream out. Keep on doing what you guys do. Subscribe. You already know the drill. Check out all the hardcore sports links. I'm DJ Storms. He's HooliGrim. This has been The Rewind. But before we get out of here, people, there is a universal question that all must answer. HooliGrim, who runs the IWC?
DJ motherfucking Storms, baby.
Damn right, baby. Who but DJ motherfucking Storms? Don't y'all forget it.